Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having an unbelievable start to your week. We're in day three, if you're like me and you count Sunday, or day two, if you begin your week on Monday. However, you begin your week, it's more important to understand the powers and how you end it. Now, this doesn't mean the circumvention of challenges and setbacks and issues and problems, both on the business and financial end, on the personal end. Things are going to come at you, and you don't always get to choose what is coming your way, but what you do always get to choose is how you respond to it. How you respond to it is going to be the determining factor of how you come out of it and how you fare in life in general. So I want to encourage you, if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight, and you need to make sure that you're consistently pointed towards your destiny and not caught up so deeply in the moment that it deters, breaks down, and literally stops you. So many people are paralyzed because they got caught up in a circumstance. So many people are paralyzed because they got caught up in a situation. Let me tell you something. Those things come. What you do in those moments are going to determine where you end up in this world. So I want to encourage you to stand up. Now, before we get off into today's, this is going to be a lesson. It's going to be inspirational. It's That's just how I am. That's how I move. I believe in empowering people, inspiring people, and challenging people to go somewhere that they haven't been before. So it's always going to be inspirational, but this is going to be a lesson. But I want to remind you before I get started that Saturday is the day, the master class, crushing limiting beliefs, stepping outside of that box you've been living in to move in a direction that you've dreamt of but never charged. I'm telling you, this is going to be exciting. I'm telling you, this is going to be phenomenal. I'm telling you that if you want to change your life, you need to enroll in this class. And it's so many different reasons to be there. Number one, the course that I'm going to be teaching is a course I designed over 6 years ago, sold it to an institution. They used it for 5 years, made a lot of money off of it. When the license was up and it was time to renew, I did not sell the license to it. I took it back, own it wholly, and now I have been distributing it to people since for a fraction of what they were charging, 10% of what they were charging actually. And so it was a little under 390. They were charging over 4,000. I was charging $397. I just wanted it in people's hands. Uh, as much as I need to be paid for the work I do, it comes. What I do need is for people to have it in their hands. It does no good for me to create something powerful and then it sit to the side. So I'm opening doors for people who may not be able to afford a $10,500 package to work with me. So now there's this thing here that I created and it works, crushing limited beliefs. It's there, but it's not just that. It's a package I created that I know works because people have been buying it like crazy for 5 years from this institution. I know it works because I've been teaching it to my clients forever. But that's not it. The person who designed it, the person whose experiences and expertise lend it to this program is going to teach it to you personally in this place. I'm only allowing 20 people to sign up. There are a few slots left. Jump in. Keisha Stevens, I got your payment. We had to go a little bit around for whatever technicalities you were running into, but I got to let you know you're now in there. You're also in the drawing. But hey, I'm going to be teaching it. That's a plus. Here comes the icing on the cake. Not only are you going to get a chance to learn the importance of changing your belief system and crushing limiting beliefs and taking on liberating thoughts and beliefs, but here's the thing. I'm going to put every person who enrolls in this course, I'm going to put their name in a bag. And during this course, I am going to pull two names out of that bag. And those two people are going to receive one of those $10,500 platinum packages that I just mentioned. That means they're going to work with me for a year, 52 sessions with yours truly. I'm excited about it. I've done it a couple of times before, and each person has gotten so much out of it, and they took it. My biggest fear in doing it is that normally when you give someone something of such great value, they don't value it. That was not the case. Both people went in and did unbelievable. One was an LVN who was shooting for her RN to change a different position or move into a different place in her career, and she got it done. And I'm telling you, that was an exciting thing for me because it happened on the cusp of COVID. So it's crazy though. But anyway, that's not it either. After I draw it, the remaining people whose name didn't get pulled will have an opportunity to purchase that same $10,500 package for 10%. So that's $1,500 for a 10,000, and that's a year. To give you an example, my average single session, when someone comes to me and say, "Hey, I just got a one-off, I got to sit down with you," that's $350. That normally lasts about an hour. I value my time because it's the one thing that I don't get extra of. I can't multiply it. I can manage it, but I can't multiply it. And so I take it very seriously. But what I'm telling you is, for the right people, I'm invested in. I'm putting it out there. Why? Because I'm going to leave this place one day. And what's going to matter to me most is how many lives I touched. Because to me, that's leaving a legacy. Yes, my family, my home first, my family, then my extended family, then the people in my community, but people, period. I want to leave this world a better place than I found it. So that's big and that's huge to me. So if you don't understand the power of limiting beliefs, I'm about to teach you something right now. And I hope it inspires you, but I want you to learn something right now. And this is a fraction of what you're going to learn when you attend the class. So again, look, sign up. Let's make something beautiful happen for you on this Saturday. And if you can't make it, sign up anyway. Why? Because it's going to be recorded, and the recording will be there for you to replay at your convenience. And I will be there via email and, if necessary, telephone, but via email to answer any questions that you may have. You don't want to miss this. Look, okay, so what are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs are the ideas and thoughts that constantly move through your head at a subconscious level that control your behavior. We all have them. Uh, you have the conscious mind, you have the unconscious mind, you have the subconscious mind. The conscious mind has the ability to process roughly about um, 2,000 bits of information per second. It's pretty neat when you think about it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the subconscious, which processes roughly anywhere about 4 billion bits of information per second. It's processing everything that you don't even pay attention to with your consciousness. If it's in the arena and something's happening with it, the subconscious is picking it up. You can scan something moving another way, and the subconscious will pick it up and it logs it. It doesn't forget anything. It's whether or not your conscious can access the memory. The memory is there. It's whether your conscious can access the memory. But then there's the unconscious mind. That's where your consciousness has no control in what's happening. That's just a movement of the mind. But where 96% of your behavior is coming from is the subconscious. So the ideas that you hold that have been ingrained into your psyche are governing your behavior. So if you, as a child, grew up in poverty, in some kind of way, you got the message that because where you come from, that's it, that poverty is your lot in life, you're not going to move on opportunities to come out of poverty. You're not going to move on opportunities to create abundance in finance because there are beliefs that are holding you back. There are beliefs about where you're going to end up in your job, in your marriage, in your career, in parenting, and everything else. And what happens is you become a self-fulfilling prophecy of your limiting belief system. You're literally operating in a box. Now, in this box are your limiting beliefs, but it's also the parameters that other people are setting for you because they benefit from you being in that box. There are a bunch of people don't want you out of the box. The box of limitations, the box of mediocrity, the box of being average, because everybody in that box is being manipulated. Everybody in that box is being herded and misled. And they want you in that box. They don't want you to become critical in your thinking. They don't want you to become liberal in your thinking. They don't want you to become free and lateral in your thinking. Why? Because then you start to see solutions outside of the scope and the realm of what everybody is eating out of. See, everybody's eating off of you, but you're not eating. That's a problem. And the thing is, when you do this thing right, you eat well and everybody else eats well. Everybody else eats well. Let me tell you something. And a part of this is the cyclical reinforcement. That's one of the things we're going to learn this weekend at Crushing Limiting Beliefs Masterclass is the cyclical reinforcement. What is that? That literally means that the subconscious thoughts create these beliefs that you don't do. Then what happens is this cyclical thought processes. You're literally thinking, I can't do it. It comes out of your self-talk. That won't work for me. That only works for those type of people. That only happens over there. That'll never happen for me. I don't have that type of luck. It is not about luck. Life is about cause and effect. Life is about cause and effect. Life is about, hey, what does that mean? For every effect, there was a cause for it. So if something's going wrong, it's because something was done wrong. If something's going right, it's because something is done right. Something's going right consistently is because something was done right consistently. So it's about cause and effect. But the problem is, in order to create a positive cause, you got to stop thinking negative. Why? Because your negative thinking, especially at the subconscious level, is governing 96% of your behavior. So you are literally on autopilot for destroying your future. And so you're sitting up and you're saying, I can't do this, I can't do this. So you never try. And so whose fault is it that it's never getting done? It's not where you started. It's not your parents. It's not white supremacy. It's not all of these other things that block you if you're not Black. It is simply because you refuse to move on what's there because you have come to believe that it's impossible. So there's this negative thinking that leads to this negative self-talk that leads to this negative cycle of not putting in the work, not doing what's necessary, cause and effect. So in essence, it's not anything magical. It's no such thing as luck. Luck chances to prepare. What does that mean? The more you prepare, the more work you put in, the more positive things will happen, the more fortunate you will become. And it's not luck. It is simply the system of reciprocity, universal law of reciprocity, universal law of cause and effect. You are not putting in the work because you don't believe that putting in the work is going to produce the results you want. So you don't even try. Or you get out there and you have tried because you got somebody that's kind of pushing you or calling you and saying, hey man, you ain't doing this, or hey girl, you need to, and so you go out, so I'm gonna go try, I'm gonna go do it. So you go out there, but you don't really put in any real effort. You don't really go hard in. You don't put any skin in the game. You go through the motion so that you can say you can do it. But here's the problem. Who understands in life? Real simple. It's real simple. Who understands that your results are going to be directly associated and related to the amount of effort you put into something? Well, guess what? If you go into something and you only put a little effort into it just to say you did it, guess what your results are going to show? Very little. Well, guess what that's going to do? That's going to reinforce the idea that whatever you were trying doesn't work. But the truth is, it does work. You didn't invest in it, but your brain isn't going to tell you that unless you really sit down with someone who can help you analyze it. That's what I do. I'm like, oh, did you really try hard? Did you really put effort into it? Did you really give it everything you had? Or did you sit there and just go through the motions? Let's be honest with ourselves. And then you start to say, well, man, I just kind of did it. I said, well, how many times did you try before you quit? How many times did you try before you quit? See, we got this thing now. If I don't knock it out the park the first try, then it wasn't meant for me. Boy, we love to use God too. So we'll sit up there, well, wasn't God's will. No, no, no. Anything that blesses you and gives you the capacity to bless other people in the right place, in the right time, when you're rightly prepared, is God's will. God will not withhold anything from you that's good. So if it's not coming, it's because you're not putting yourself in the position. See, this thing is that God comes and finds you and pours favor over you out of some sentimental idea of who you are is foolish. God looks at your work. God looks at your commitment. God has literally designed the entire universe to respond to your active faith, not what you're wishing, not what you say you believe, but what you're actually moving on. So in essence, it starts with you saying, I'm going to step out of this and I'm going to move into this, even though I can't see it with the natural eye. The spiritual eye tells me it's possible. See, we're gonna get into this thing because see, there's some things that you're bringing back from your childhood. You're bringing back from your teenage years. You're bringing back from that first relationship. You're bringing back from that first job. You're bringing back from your first attempt to do something in finance, in business, or in academia, and it didn't turn out well. So you took it upon yourself to believe that it's not for me. No, 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 no. It's for you, but you're gonna have to go out and take it. If you want to use a biblical example, prime example, the Israelites coming out of Egypt, the first group, the original group comes out God says, this is the land I promised Abraham that I would give to you. This is for Israel's children. This is for Jacob's descendants. This is for you. But you got to understand, there are some people possessing it that it doesn't belong to. You're going to have to go in and possess it. It's yours. Your name is on the deed, but you're going to have to go in and possess it. Sometimes it's some things sitting out there for you, and something or someone has a hold to it. Someone may be blocking a loan for your business. Someone may be sitting up putting dirt and ears into your marriage. Somebody may somebody may be sitting up and giving you all kind of grief about your academic or educational process. Someone is sitting up and messing with you while you're trying to grow and build your financial empire. Whatever the situation is, whatever it is you're trying to do, let me tell you something. You got to possess it. Possessing it isn't an easy part because you got to go in. And God told them to go in. Here's what happened, though. They balked on it because they started to believe the limiting beliefs that had been imprinted upon them during their stay in Egypt. They started to believe that they weren't worthy. They started to believe they weren't powerful. They started to believe everything. They ignored all the things that had happened that brought them to that point, and they could only focus on what they had remembered in Egypt. And so they stood up and they sent spies over. The spies came back and said, "Hey, man, it's everything that God promised would be. It's flowing with milk and honey." They brought back proof of the plant life, fruit life, and in abundance and everything. But they said there are giants over there, and we're like grasshoppers in their sight. Out of the 12 spies, 10 said we couldn't. Now, two said they could. That was Joshua and Caleb. They said we could. They took what they said. Now, here's the part that I love about this story, and it taught me so much about faith. Check this out now. I need you to understand this. Check this out. This isn't about religion. This is about principle, because I can show it to you in 15 other different stories that has nothing to do with the Israelites. But I love this because of just how the story plays out. Check this out. The Israelites are telling Moses, "No, we can't do it. We ain't going to do it." And Moses is trying to convince them. You know, God said it. God promised the Lord, the hand of the Lord is with you. Blah, all that good stuff, right? Okay. God calls Moses to the side. Say, "Look, I want you to go back and tell them something. Tell them I have heard their complaints against me." This is one of the most powerful. This is one of the most powerful revelations that I've ever had in studying the Bible. And for those of you who don't know, I have 2 doctorates. One is in theology, the other is in psychology. So these are things that and so I'm sitting up and I'm looking at them. Go, okay, where did they complain against God? So I'm going back and I'm looking. God took their lack of faith as a complaint against him. He had promised them something. He had given them something and told them to go in and possess it. Their lack of faith was a direct complaint against God's power, against God's veracity, against God's assurances. It was like they were basically calling God a lie to his face. He took it personal. Then he told Moses, "So what I need you to do is go back and tell them this. As they have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do to them." Whoa, wait a minute. What? As they have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do to them. Now, you can jump out of the Bible and you can jump anywhere, and I can tell you and show you where your self-talk is a prediction of what your future will be. Your limited thinking, your limited beliefs has you speaking in a way that's inhibiting your movement. See, when we do this on Saturday, I'm telling you, we're going to get to a place. I'm going to show you what you've been doing to stop. Nobody else can stop you but you. So if you're not where you're supposed to be, or you're not moving toward it, it's because something you're doing. Though I don't care who's out there, because check this out. God stood up and said, none of those who didn't believe get to go. None of those who didn't believe over, I believe, the age of 20 gets to go. So for 40 years, they had to sit there and be reminded daily of how they failed themselves. How many of you are sitting around now wallowing in something because of a decision you made, and you still have the power right now because God is operating out of a place of grace? Now he said, "Hey, look, once you get it, once you figure it out, you're going to have to deal with some consequences, but you don't have to mortgage your future to pay for your past." That's the beauty about this thing. You don't have to sit in something and wallow in something because of something you didn't do at a particular point in time. Let me tell you something. You got to be able to get up. So what happens? Those who didn't believe die off. The only two left are Caleb and Joshua. Joshua takes the reign of Moses, and God makes a promise to Joshua. He says, as I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. I will never leave you, nor will I forsake you. And Joshua took that literally. I'm going to take you over into the book of Joshua real quick, and then we're going to get back to the rest of what I've got to share with you, and then I'm going to be out of your face. He goes over, and they're in a battle, because now they are possessing the land, and they're in a battle with the Midianites. And they get a call and say, hey, look, this is going on. And they say Joshua took troops and marched all night to go into a battle with the Midianites. And when they arrived, they waged war. And Joshua and his men are winning, and they're prevailing. But it says God's promise to Joshua stood true, because it said God killed more with hailstones than the men of Israel killed with spears and swords. Okay, that ain't it. That ain't it. You got to stay with the story. That's all cool. God kept his promises. Cool. I get it. You know, you want to know that. But I mean, if you don't know that by now, there's some things you really need to search out, because you wouldn't be here if God wasn't sitting on side of you in some way. There's too many things out there trying to take you out, because the enemy knows more about your promise than you do right now. And the enemy's trying to stop you. But let's move on. What happens? They say they waged war, and the day was coming to an end. And although the Israelites were winning, they had not completely conquered them. And they knew that if the sun fell, they were in their territory, and they were in their territory. And what would happen? They would literally hide, regroup, and still be a problem the next day and the next month. They may go off regrouping. So they needed to finish that day. But the problem was the sun was going down. Here's the beautiful part about this. Joshua took what God said when he told him, as I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. And this is what he did. He didn't consult God for a miracle. He called it down himself. He said, sun, stand still over Gibeon. Sun stopped moving until they finished. He didn't have to add. He didn't say, God, stop. He called, sun, stand still. That's the kind of faith you're going to have to learn how to operate to do exceptional things. It's people out there doing it every day. They're not better than you. They don't have some special gift that makes them better than you. They're operating in an undeniable faith. They're moving in a place. And people say, well, what about the people who don't believe in God? They're still moving in God made the universe to respond to faith. There are people out there that believe in themselves so much that they believe they can't be stopped. So the universe is responding to it. But guess what? Guess how much more you have when the universe is responding to you and you're moving towards your God-given purpose. That's a path already paved for you. Think about what God said to Jeremiah. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And I ordained you to be a prophet to my people. Before I formed you, I knew you. And what? We folding? No, we not folding. You need to come to this class. Let's move on. I just had to get that part out. That wasn't even planned, but sometimes you got to pay attention and listen. Check this out. Too many of you are going through life in a box. You're going through a life in a box of limitations, a box of lies, a box of deception, and you stand in that box because you were told that's where you belong. Matter of fact, there's some people in that box that are where you are that every time you think about getting out, they put something in your ear to make you sit still. You know you get out there, you're going to fail. You know out there, they're going to laugh at you. You know you ain't never did nothing like that before. And you sit up and it sets and it suppresses and it connects with those limiting beliefs on the inside of you. And you sit up and say, you know what the heck was I thinking? And so you sit down and you be still and you mind. And you don't understand that you will sit up there. You were born to be a revolutionary thinker. You were born to think outside of the box. You were born to move outside of the box. You were born to be an example to people that whatever you believe is possible, when you're moving towards your destiny, it becomes possible. Flying in a machine before the Wright brother was an impossible thing. Running the mile before Roger Bannister, running the mile under 4 minutes before Roger Bannister was an impossible thing. You can just go through life and start to see where people took the impossible, made it possible to the point that now we don't even question it. We sit up and talk on cell phones that are literal computers. And we do everything we can on those darn devices and never once question at what point did it stop being impossible. Everything you're looking at that makes your life easier was once not in existence and thought to be unattainable. What are you going to leave this world that you did that people thought were impossible? What are you going to do that people would have thought was extremely, exceptionally difficult? You got to step outside of that box. And then another thing is, some of you don't want it bad enough. Some of you don't want it bad enough. Some of you are still caught up in, I see it and it's out there. Ooh, man, but if I got to do this. See, I love Eric Thomas. I love his delivery. I love his personality. I love his story. But I love the story he tells about the guru. And I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to be done with this. But I'm telling you, if you haven't signed up for this weekend, the masterclass on crushing limiting beliefs, this is a breakout move. This is your breakthrough move. This is it. You need to sign up because I'm bringing all of this and a whole lot more. I'm going to tell you and show you where you're at, why you're there, what's going on in your mind that's stopping you. Your mind is the most powerful force you have, and it is either working for you or it's working against you. Let me help you. Sign up and come see me. And have a chance of winning a $10,500 platinum package of working with me for a year. 2 people are going to win that. But anyway, Eric Thomas tells a story about the guru. And if you don't know what a guru is, because everybody's a guru now on the internet, the guru is an Indian term that simply means teacher. And this guru was teaching, and there was a student who knew of the guru and his successes, and he wanted the guru to teach him the level of mentality and function that he was operating with that allowed him to do all the things that he had been successful in doing. And the guru said, do you really want to learn? He said, yeah. He says, well, meet me down at the beach in the morning at 5. And he's like, man, what they got to do with it? He says, just come to the beach. He says, if you really want to learn, you'll be there. And so when he gets there, the guru is there. The guru is already out in the surf. He's in the water. And he says, come on out. He said, man, he says, come on out if you really want to learn. And so he goes out there. And if those of you who know the story, you know what I'm getting at, because Eric Thomas became famous telling this darn story. And anyway, he goes out there. He says the guru grabs him. He says, do you really want to learn what it takes to be successful? He says, yes. So he takes him, he dumps him underwater, he holds him under there, and he can't breathe. And right when he's about to pass up, he lets him up and long enough to catch his breath. And then he dumps him back down there again, and he holds him till he's about to pass out. He brings him up and he lets him catch it. He does that about 3 or 4 times. And then when he lets him in, while he's still gasping for air, he said, when I had you underwater, what is the thing you wanted more than anything in life? He said, to breathe. He says, when you want success as bad as you want to breathe, nothing will stop you. Some of you don't want it bad enough. For those of you who do and know there's some work you need to put in, you need to sign up and come see me this weekend. I'm telling you, for $150, you're going to get a $400 course that comes with it. You're going to get me teaching you for 2 hours. Plus, we're going to try to keep it under 2 hours. And trust me, the 2 hours are going to go by like this. You just spent 30 minutes on here with me. And so you can get how fast 2 hours go with me. We going hard in the paint, and we're asking questions. We're answering questions. We're dealing with real life personal situations and showing why it went the way it went. We're dealing with it, but we're also learning skill, how to change the thinking and the focus and the movement. I'm trying to get you somewhere, but you need to come on. But you, not only that, you're going to get to win. 2 people will win a $10,500 package for a year-long session with me. You just gotta, you gotta just show up, just doing the work. But let me tell you something. You gotta want it as bad as you want to breathe, the things you want like that, you figure it out. You get out there, you put in the work, you take the necessary calculated risks. You don't leave anything on the table. My whole thing in life is that I refuse to die and take my talent and my potential to the grave with me. I'm challenging you, do something exceptional, do something extraordinary, do something phenomenal. If you haven't signed up for this weekend's course, click that link in the box and sign up. And then even the people who don't win will have an opportunity to get a platinum package at 10% of the cost. A 90% discount. Every student that enrolls, even if you're not there, your name's going in the hat to win, and you'll have an offer. Now, the offer for the platinum package is only for the day of the event. I can't have that floating around forever because I'm taking a hit big time on that. But I'm doing that for people who are actually going to invest in themselves and actually come out and put in some work or actually take a chance on themselves. So I'm going to put some of me in the game. That's how I'm going to do with people. If you go in for yourself, I'll come in with you because I want you to win. I want you to win. On that note, look, I'm going to get out of here. I got some other things I got to do, but I want to thank everybody who stopped in and showed up. Share this video with someone. If you didn't like it yet, like the video, share it with someone, encourage someone, because there's somebody else in your periphery that needs to hear it. On that note, as I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out.